Gentlemen, it is our honor to have in studio the Attorney General of Florida, James Uthmeier, who is fresh off of some massive breaking news here in the city of Tampa. Thank you, Attorney General, for being with us. What's up,
sir.
man?
Thanks
all
for
right, I already got my
me.
challenge coin, just letting you all know, okay? I got, bam! Got my challenge coins, got free drinks in Tallahassee. Nobody really wants to hang out in Tallahassee. Oh, yeah. What's up, man?
We'll have you up there anytime you want.
Congratulations.
It's small and quiet, but we
yes.
like it. Thank you.
Congratulations on the news this morning. You just busted up a bunch of child predators, massive child predator sting, I think in coordination potentially with the FBI and
Yeah,
and
we've been
DHS?
working on this one for about a little over a month, but it was a 2-week operation. I'm told the most successful in U.S. history. We were able to rescue 60 children, many victim of horrific human trafficking and other just atrocities. Many of them impregnated by their traffickers.
Yeah.
So we're glad to get them home. We worked with the federal government. I can't say enough about the help of the Trump administration, the FBI, the U.S. Marshal Service did the Lord's work on this. So we've got them back. We're going to help them recover now. And I promised people when I took the oath, protecting our kids is my #1 priority. We're not going to stop. We'll bring the fight. And if you're trafficking in this state, we're going to get you.
The strong father energy.
Yeah.
The strong dad energy. How many kids you got?
3.
Yeah.
I got a 5, 3, and 1. So it's near and dear to me.
Been getting to work, bro. Good for you.
Keeps you young, yeah.
So this like something that you really feel like, right? And you're deep in your bones.
I do.
And your dad. I moved to Florida because I wanted my kids to be protected, right? And I saw the leadership here in the state. I saw the work that they were doing. That was way ahead of its time, by the way. Like against the predations of children, whether that's in the schoolhouse, the library, or whether it's in like the bathrooms at Disney World, like the predation of children was an issue that was taken on strongly in this state. And I'm like, I'm gonna live in a place like that. I'm gonna raise my family and my kids in a place like that.
We're not gonna tolerate it, and we're not gonna apologize for protecting our kids from the physical harms. This trafficking stuff is dangerous. From the ideological harms, we've redone the curriculum here in the state. We're busting anybody that wants to let little boys and girls restrooms, anybody that wants pornography in the classrooms. No tolerance in Florida. We're gonna be the #1 state for public safety.
So, you talked about child trafficking. Some of these criminal aliens. You have a new place for them here in the state. Your team has told me, and your team has told my producers, that we might have some breaking news on the new Alligator Alcatraz. Can you please inform the audience?
Sure. Well, so we rolled out this proposal last week. It's a location we've been looking at with law enforcement for a while. 30 square miles surrounded by the Everglades down in South Florida. Prevents the unique opportunity for a low-cost detention facility because the perimeter is already set by Mother Nature. A lot of people thought maybe it was just a joke, but no, we're serious. We care about immigration enforcement. We're leading and helping the federal government. We've had a great relationship with ICE and Homeland Security. I was with Border Czar Tom Homan yesterday as we were talking about this stuff. But as of this morning, the federal government has approved our detention facility plan. So we're going to have 5,000 beds up and running.
A round of applause on that? Yeah, there we go. Okay, we have a massive roaring applause sound effect. Thank you.
We'll have 5,000 beds by early July.
Really?
A couple facilities, including what I call Alligator Alcatraz.
So wait a second. This is, and we have it right here, right? This is the location. This is a big airfield. Is this correct?
It's an old, virtually abandoned airfield. At one point, they wanted it to be the largest airport in the world. It didn't happen, but you've got an 11,000-foot runway there. So big planes can land. We'll process there. The National Guard will be on site. They're going to help. We'll give them the due process that all these courts say they need, on the way out, though they never care to ask about it when the border was open and people were flowing in. And we'll detain, deport, and get people out of this country that don't belong here.
This is amazing. Okay, so here you are on site. How are you? Wait, hold on. You just said that you'll have it open in July?
It'll be open, first week of July.
You're just going to put tents out there, lean-tos? Like, how's it going to work?
In Florida, we've gotten very good at
responding. You're going to chain people to an alligator? Yeah.
No, we'll have some light infrastructure, a lot of, heavy-duty tent facilities, trailer facilities. We don't need to build a lot of brick and mortar. Wow. Again, it will be temporary, and thankfully, Mother Nature does a lot on the perimeter. We'll have a little bit of additions needed, but there's really nowhere to go. If you're housed there, if you're detained there, there's no way in, no way out.
My brother in Christ. In the first administration, President Trump, in an interview to the New York Times, proposed potentially putting alligators at the border wall and filling the Rio Grande with alligators. And now you're literally doing it. You're making his dream come true.
Well, we believe in the swamp down here in Florida. We're swamp creatures. But no, it's a great facility. The state will be able to use it for a long time.
It can be a good thing. This is using the swamp to your advantage. Do you understand? This is Sun Tzu, art of the swamp. Okay, so you're telling me, you're breaking news right now that this is happening.
It is
Alligator
happening.
Alcatraz is going down.
It is. We have commenced with the construction. Again, we don't need a lot. It's light infrastructure. 5,000 beds by early July. Wow. Many of them will be at Alligator Alcatraz.
Are these going to be criminal aliens from all around the country, or what's apprehended here in Florida?
Both, yeah. Around the country and in Florida, we'll prioritize criminal aliens as the Trump administration has called on us to do, as was discussed with Tom Homan yesterday. I mean, there's 600,000 or so criminal aliens in this country that have already been convicted of other crimes. Yeah. So there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. We've got to get these dangerous people off the streets, first and foremost, but then we've got to enforce rule of law across the board. Yeah. If you are not legally in this country, you should not be here, and we've got an obligation to support the Trump administration. If I may, and I'm not sure your take on this, but it happened in your backyard, so let's talk about that massive ice raid that happened in Tallahassee. It was a huge construction site, and we all saw it as like biggest raid I've ever seen. And we saw this hollering from farmers or from the hotel industry being like, don't raid our criminal aliens are the better ones, right? Like they're protected. And that's not what people voted for, actually, right? Like, and so could you give us a take on how you're dealing with that from a Florida perspective? Yeah. Again, that happened in your backyard. I don't know if you knew about it. I don't know if you coordinated. We were involved. Yeah, our state law enforcement was actively involved, working with the sheriffs and the feds. It was a collaborative effort. Law enforcement works together in Florida, which makes us a great rule of law state. But I'll give you an example. 2 weeks ago, I announced a lifetime sentencing of a guy that was here on an ag worker permit, overstayed it. He was here illegally, and we caught him brutally sexually assaulting and trafficking young girls, a young child. I mean, that's what's happening when these people get into our country. I announced in Bay County last week this driver's license scheme where people working at the DMV were selling fake IDs, including some, the class of license needed to drive a semi-truck. Wow. To people that are not going through the training, they're not taking the tests, they're getting these things, they're making money on the side, and they're putting Floridians in danger. They're putting Americans in danger. So I think we have a duty. We need to detain and deport everyone. Yes, we'll focus with the criminal aliens, but rule of law has got to be rule of law. It's very interesting that you brought that up, because Kash Patel announced that there's a huge driver's license scheme last week that the Chinese were trying to bring in millions of legal driver's licenses to vote in the 2020 election. Have you seen anything about that? Could you talk about how that would work? Right? Like, have you seen the potential for that to happen here in the state of Florida? We have. Thankfully, we were the first state in the country to start an election crimes office. So our Secretary of State and elections investigators work hand in hand. Getting the fake ID doesn't necessarily enable you to vote. You've got to get through the registration process that we scrutinize. But I think it is evident that people do come here illegally, and they do illegally vote. I'm not sure at what scale, but it's a danger to our republic. You talk about Chinese, we're aware of, hundreds of Iranians that have come into this country illegally recently. There's no telling how many dangerous people, how many terrorist sleeper cells could be in the country actively plotting because of the Biden open border. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad that they're at least talking about it. This has been we'll keep investigating. Yeah. We'll crack down. We've got to keep our families safe. So there's straight up election fraud, right? There's let's bring millions of illegal driver's license so that Chinese students can vote, and we know Chinese students did vote in the election. Some guy's getting charged in Michigan for that, so the scheme actually ended up working. Then there's a far more aggressive election fraud, which is just straight up killing the candidate. Now, one of those near murders happened here in the state of Florida. Now, I know this is a federal case, and they're bringing it in federal court. Can you give us anything on Ryan Ralph? Like, what the hell's going on with that guy? He was working with Ukraine. He was working with Afghanistan. Like some of these terrorists. A lot of facts that raise more questions. That's exactly than answers. Right. Well, what the hell's up with that dude? What I can tell you is we started trying to prosecute this in Florida while the Biden administration was still in place under state law challenges. Yes. We did not trust the federal government to go and do their job, so we wanted to do it in Florida, and they obstructed our investigation. They would not allow us access to the crime scene. They would not share witness interviews, evidentiary documents. Now, all that changed when A.G. Bondi and Kash Patel took over. We've enjoyed working with them. We were able to move forward with our investigation. Right now, we're fully supporting theirs. Don't want to do anything to get out ahead of them or mess up what they're doing. But we will pursue rule of law again thankfully with a collaborative federal government. Enforcing the law should not be political. It should not matter what party's in charge. We should want to protect our citizens, especially former presidents and candidates, and thanks be to God, Trump is our president today.
Yes, that's right. I'm really surprised that a district judge in D.C. hasn't freed Ryan Ralph and given him his gun back. Like that shocks me. I was waiting for that one.
Don't jinx it.
Okay, so district judge rules that Donald Trump has to rebuild the nuclear facility in Iran. Too bad. Sucks. Yeah, it's too bad. Okay, so really quickly, we have a friend, lives of TikTok, and she wanted us to ask a question about something that was going on that's very strange here in the state of Florida. Now, I know that DeSantis versus Disney is one of the hotter topics of the last couple of years. You ended up winning that brawl straight away. And I don't think Disney's functioned ever better, actually, quite frankly. A lot of things are changing in that area and region, and it's for the better, right? Sure. Universal just opened this massive new park. I haven't been there, but a lot of cool stuff going on there. A lot of big dynamic energy in Orlando. Tying through to what you just announced this morning about child trafficking, and tying through to predation, right, of vulnerable peoples here in the state of Florida. There was a TikTok influencer named Lily Tino, who is who's taking videos and photos inside of the women's bathroom in Disney. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second. There's no way that this can be legal in the state of Florida, right? This is a transgender influencer. This seems to be first off, you shouldn't be allowed to film inside of bathrooms. It seems really creepy. But then here in Disney, it's extra layers of creepy and wrong. Is there anything happening from a state level on this topic?
Yeah, we're investigating this. We do not tolerate men or boys in women's and girls' restrooms, gyms, private spaces, no tolerance. We're investigating this one. We've already cracked down on some gyms in South Florida. They were allowing people that identify as women to go into women's locker rooms. We put them on notice that legal action was coming. Thankfully, they changed their ways. Alachua County, a public school system, they had a camp, Camp Crystal Lake, where they were allowing 5th grade elementary age boys to identify as girls and stay in the girls' bunks. We shut this down right away too. Thankfully, they did not fight us on it. It's amazing we have to have these conversations today. But here in Florida, we believe there are two sexes, men and women, and we are going to protect our girls at all costs.
I got girls, I got boys. I think you do too. Yes.
I got girl, 2 boys.
All right, my man. I looked at child predator laws. There's the death penalty here in the state of Florida, right?
That's right.
That's the state I'm moving to. That's the state I'm moving to. I want to move to a state where I can defend myself in my home, where I have castle law. We just saw the sheriff, who I think you were there at that press conference, right, where that sheriff went viral, and he's like,
Sheriff Ivey. That's
yeah,
right,
he's like, we will put you graveyard dead into the ground if you mess with cops.
We are not messing around
cops.
here.
Yeah, that's right.
We are the #1 state for public
safety. You were behind him when he was saying that, right?
Yeah,
you were laughing.
Yeah. Well, we were announcing, all these, violent protests you were seeing in California. We were putting people on notice as we saw some murmurings. If you do that in Florida, rioting is illegal here. If you throw stones, if you light things on fire, if you obstruct traffic, you are going to jail for as long as we can put you in there. Thankfully, we didn't have any of these violent demonstrations because I think people know we're going to hold them accountable. But the other thing we announced at that event was, we're seeing the doxing of ICE agents. These leftist groups want to put out the personal identifying information to intimidate, threaten, jeopardize the safety of these federal officials and their families. Yes. And we're not going to tolerate that. So our state troopers, our state law enforcement, we've got a partnership now with the feds where if there's any personal information of an ICE agent or family members going public in Florida, we're going to give them personal protection and keep them safe. We want them here. They're doing their job. And while they're protecting our families, we're going to protect theirs.
Locked in, man. What an advertisement for the state of Florida. What an incredible advertisement for the state of Florida. Something we didn't even cover here is the anti-swatting legislation that was just passed. Yeah. That's the strongest in the entire nation.
We got a great governor.
We really appreciate that at this program.
We lead through example.
We get swatted every single day, and it's been really annoying. Very tired of getting pizzas delivered to my house that I didn't order. Mainly because my wife's trying to keep me in shape, okay? And I just want to eat Domino's. Okay, so what's next here for the state of Florida? Do you have any? What's next to be worked on for the rest of the year?
Sure. Well, we're going to get these detention facilities up and running. We're going to continue to protect our kids. We sued Snapchat. We're investigating other social media companies. We've seen, grave dangers where child predators are using these social media sites to prey upon our kids, Snapchat being the preferred avenue. So we've already busted dozens of people that are trying to prey on our kids. They deceive kids. They pretend to be young people themselves. They start asking for information, ultimately trying to meet up with kids. Parents at home need to wake up. If you don't know what your kids are doing with their cell phones, get on it. You got the decision to make. Should your kid even have a phone to begin with? Should they have access to the internet? Are they mature enough? But if you choose that there is utility, learn about the resources to block access, to track what they're doing, to monitor the behavior of their kids. There are dangerous people out there. A lot of them just, they kidnapped the 60 or so people we rescued over the last 2 weeks. It's real. It is not just something you see in a movie. It is real, and you are the first line of defense.
Let me tell you, I speak from very limited first-person experience. I went to community college, okay? Went to community college, not a super. I think I'm a room temperature IQ, but let me tell you, the smartest move I've ever made in my life was deciding to raise my children, which is my most precious asset in life, but then also build my business here in the state of Florida, because the leadership in Florida just ain't messing around. All right, so if you're thinking about it, and there's a lot of young people in the audience and want to have kids and families, then this is a good place to lock it in.
Well, we're ready for you. Come on down.
That's right, young daddy, young dad. All right, Thanks for keeping the state clean, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, the great Attorney General here. And please put up the social media. Let's make sure that we get 22,000 people follow our great Attorney General James Uthmeier here in the state of Florida. We are going to bump those numbers up. The future looks very, very bright. Thank you very much, AG.
Benny, thanks for having me.
All right,
as always.
All right. Okay.
Thank you, sir.